the toughest time in our marriage. Like it tested our marriage, you know, because she's in a situation. I have my daughter, but I got my husband, you know, daughter's like, I hate you. We're not doing this. Of course, you know, we've crossed that river now, but
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Look, if you're looking to or you got to raise the bar on your marriage, you gotta click the link and get into Married into Crazy, y'all. I'm telling you, this coaching is gonna take your relationship to another level. Now look, you already know you need to raise the bar. You know that already. So stop thinking or overthinking. Click that link, and Marriage into Crazy is gonna take you and your spouse to marital bliss. Now you know. Click the button. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Married into Crazy with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey, and Snooks is not available for this particular episode because she's deep in her studies. But we want to welcome everybody back. This is going to be the continuation, part 2 of Sweet Love with the Johnsons. If you haven't had a chance to listen to part 1, which was episode 215, definitely go back, listen to that first before you listen to this continuation. It was a fun time, and I think you're going to enjoy the rest of this interview as well. Again, without further ado, welcome back to Sweet Love with the Johnsons, part 2.
you just deal with it. Honestly, I mean, I had to catch myself, you know, and it was too late. So like I had, see, y'all good. Y'all good.
Yeah, you like timed it perfectly.
Yeah, so we both are in, at this time of recording, in 75 hard. And for those who don't know, it's 2 workouts a day. It's a special meal plan, a lot of water, it's reading. So we're up early, sometimes up late to make sure we get it all in so we don't have to go back to date 1. And so I think last night, I was at the end of my energy level, and I went downstairs and I'm like, why all these dishes in the thing, man? What is happening? Oh my God.
And then he started talking about a deal. You need to do this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay. You okay?
But before we laid our heads, I was like, you know what? I was so wrong for that. I apologize, you know, and I shouldn't have came at you like that, you know. So,
but it was okay because I didn't get upset. I just said, oh, okay, he's having a moment. So that's fine.
Look, 75 hard is no joke.
No.
we did it together a year ago.
And we will never do it together again.
Why, Snooks?
What happened?
Oh, okay. So here's the deal with Lovey. Lovey is a high D, high I also. And kind of like you, Vic, he's just like, when he wants it now. Whatever he's doing, everybody else got to do, you know, it's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm doing 75 soft. I'm not doing 75 hard, you know? And so I said, if I can fit in another, you know, workout or whatever, then okay, great. Well, if you don't, you start all over at the beginning. I was like, I'm not doing that. The fact that I'm doing 75 days in the first place, that's, you know, I'm thinking I'm doing good. When Lovey is on, Lovey is on. And everybody better, y'all either get on the train or y'all move out the way, because he's just gonna blow this whole place up. So I'm just like, you know what, babe? I'm not doing this with you anymore. We ran out of I think it was frozen fruit we ran out of vegetables. Sorry. And we have some frozen fruit to make shakes. And I was like, okay, well, just use the fruit, you know. That's just sugar. I was like, okay. And like you, Latasha, I was like, okay, I learned to not take things personal Like, I know you're not yelling at me. You're just upset about the situation. But I'm not gonna lie, because there are some days I'm like, well, what you yelling at me about it for? You got a car, you know how to go to the store, you could do it yourself, blah, blah, blah. And then we have to pause and be like, okay, like you said, before we go to bed, all right, babe, I know I wasn't, I was foul for that. I shouldn't have said whatever, whatever. But I know what my limits are, and my limits tell me Lovey and I cannot work out together.
Oh yeah, we can't be in the
We
gym together.
cannot, no, ever, because
You
he would
can't be in the
critique,
gym together.
he would critique everything that we have a gym upstairs. When he's walking up the stairs, I could be doing deadlifts or whatever. He'll stop, stand on the landing. He's all, babe, you should bend you should bend a little bit. I was like, oh, here we go. No, I said, you should just go to the room. So we know what we can and what we cannot do. And us working out together, that's just,
She a high C. She gonna pick this one time as a high C to not follow the rules. I'm just like, wait, really?
wow.
I'm like, okay. Oh, so we gonna pick and choose what rules we gonna follow. That's
And he loves to say that too. He's like, what are you talking about?
no, I get it. It's one of those things where, listen, I hope you guys are laughing and listening and saying, oh, we do that too, because that's just marriage.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a workout routine, doesn't matter if it's your business. It could be talking about, the sport that your child is going to play, or the extracurricular program or whatever. Because we did that when no, the girls are going to do taekwondo. No, they're going to play tennis. No, they're going to, and we would. It's always something, but you got to find that way. Like the why in crazy is yielding. You got to remember when to yield. And I'm glad to hear last night that you figured that out. And
oh yeah, absolutely. And it's so crazy, man. I'm reading this book that I'm reading is like what got you here won't get you there. And it's talking about how successful like CEOs, they gotta, let it down, like let some of those aggressive winning success habits go so that others can flourish around you. And there was a specific thing that I read yesterday, and I was like you don't have to always be right. Like sometimes just say thank you if somebody says something. You don't have to always add comments. So I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress. And I literally played that sentence in my head before I said something to her, but I just had to say something. I was like, man, and I regretted it immediately after it came out. I was like, anyway. So,
he did. Yeah. And I was like, it's okay. I mean, I didn't take it personal. Yeah. So, I mean, we all have our moments.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, usually like snaps or anything like that. So I was just like, oh, okay. It's gonna be all right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your understanding.
See? Well, let me throw this at you. That's an interesting topic you brought up. So have either of you read Will Smith's book, Will?
I haven't read it yet. That'll have to be the next one.
So no, this is not going to be about the slap. There was a I'm not going to ruin the book for it, but there's a story that he tells in the book. And it's about an old, I think it was a Chinese proverb or story. It's like a parable, but he was saying that, and I'm going to share this with you, and I want you guys to offer how you think this might apply to marriage. So he talks about a story about how this area was flooding, and this individual had to get across this river that was flooding to get to higher ground. So if I need to do something, and the only thing he can think of was, I need to build a raft. So he chops down this bamboo around him, and he builds this raft, and he takes this raft, and it saves his life. He gets to the other side, traverses this river and he recognizes that this raft saved my life, and I'm never going to let go of this raft, because without this raft, I would have died. But on that higher ground is a forest of more bamboo. And so he's trying to maneuver through the bamboo, and he can't get through. He's getting cut, and he's recognizing now the water is still rising. And in order for him to get to the higher ground, it comes to a decision. He goes, in order to get through the forest, I got to let go of this raft, this thing that got me to where I am. So what do I do? And he realized, I got to let go of this raft in order to get to the higher ground and save my life. And Will talked about how there was a point in his life where he recognized that what got him to where he was now going to cost him his life if he didn't let go. So the question I have for you is, taking that story, that parable, how might that apply in your experience in marriage?
You got something for that? So
Not that I can think of.
the only thing I can think of, honestly, is our transition from Atlanta to Texas. Super critical in our marriage. So the older kids were pretty much done with high school. Ty is the younger one. My youngest daughter, biological daughter, was in her last year of high school. So it was a tough decision, but the company I was with was going out of business. Opportunity popped up in Austin, Texas, that was, in my eyes, was a tremendous opportunity for our growth. But, you know, we got family here and kids here, and they got life and other family members that they don't want to leave out. And the youngest was just starting to, have a little boyfriend and stuff. And so we went through a really, really emotional time with that. And I would say it's probably the toughest time in our marriage. Like it tested our marriage, because she's in a situation. I have my daughter, but I got my husband, daughter's like, I hate you. We're not doing this. Of course, we've crossed that river now, but I had to pray on it, get consulting, all this stuff. And I just feel like Atlanta at that time was the raft, because had we not made that move, we may have still done some of the things we did. I don't think so, but we may have still been okay. But more importantly, I feel like had I not done it, then I would have had a resentment towards maybe my wife, kids, that, man, what would have happened if we would have moved to Texas? So that's the closest thing I can associate to it, Lovey, is just that I had to let Atlanta go in that perspective so that we could elevate to a greater, to build a legacy for our family. I saw a greater vision. What, you got something for that?
I think that was, one of the toughest periods during our marriage was that transition. Because like you said, his daughter was graduating. My daughter was a sophomore going into her junior year. So it's kind of an awkward period. And then, all the craziness that came with that. And I think that might have been.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting emotional just thinking about that time. Like, it was just so much happening. I'm still trying to move into another position. So, the move happened, but then that wasn't the end of the story, right? Like, we got to build up and still trying to close out to what was going on in Atlanta. We had a house, and so it was just a lot going on. And so, but I still feel like overall it was the better move. And again, we're in a position now where we can do something that will last much longer. There definitely some broken relationships that have to be remended because of some of that. But hey, you know what I mean? It's part of the deal, right?
Sacrifice is definitely part of it. And you used a word, legacy. Sometimes in order to get to that higher ground to create a legacy for family, some things get left behind. It's not necessarily things that you necessarily want to leave behind, so much as it's something that has to be left behind.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that. That word, legacy. I mean, when we say legacy, what does that mean to you? It sounds like there's been a lot of prosperity since going from Atlanta to Austin to the DFW area. What does that look like? What does legacy mean for you? And how do you create that for your family?
I was going to start with you. What's your legacy?
I think for me, building a legacy is investing in these properties, teaching our kids how to do it, teaching our grandkids how to do it, and leaving something for them. That's what it's all about. Because if we were in Atlanta, we probably would have had one house, and that's about it. But I don't think we would have grown to the level to where we are now. because that was our comfort zone. That was my comfort zone as well, because I'm from there. All of my family lives there. And when grandma, grandpa, mama, everybody. So everyone is there, and that was my comfort zone. And if I had never left, still be there doing nothing.
You know, and for me, I'll explain why it's important to me in telling the story that my grandmother. So my grandmother, my mom's mom, lived in San Francisco. She bought a house in Bayview in 1961 for $21,000. At the time of her passing in 2017, the house was worth over $900,000. And she wrote into her will that her 3 kids would get that. And for whatever reason, I was one that connected with her throughout life, and she added me into that. So I was able to, you know, partake in that. And in order for me to be a good steward over what she had built, I felt like I had to immediately reinvest it so that it can go to work too, you know. And, you know, we took care of the kids and things like that, but it was really more about, I got to immediately put this to work, you know, because that's what she did. You know, she turned 21,000 into really at one point over $1.2 million, of course, right? And then of course the market did what it did in 08 and 09. But to be in a position where upon her passing, I'm able to now carry the torch to the next level. And, you know, we now, you know, have 7 doors that we own or, you know, are in control of. And we are independent business owners. And just, you know, it's still a journey. We still got a lot of work to do, but I feel like it's important that we do what we've done and built this legacy, and then to kind of just put our family in a better position for their future. So that's why it's so important. I mean, other cultures do it all the time, right? We just have to do it more and talk about it more, which is really why I love our King's Accountability Group, because we are teaching each other within the things that we're all doing, how to build businesses, how to build our families, how to build the legacy. And so I think we're both in alignment on that, and everything that we do every day is to continue to build that legacy.
That's beautiful. You know, you're using some terms. I know when this question. You're using some terms that I don't know that everybody understands. You mentioned 7 doors. What does that mean? You turned that 21,000 into 7 doors.
Yeah. So 7 rental property doors. So one property is a duplex. So we got one tenant in one door and another tenant in another door. You know, so we count them as doors because they cash flow. You know, every door makes money. So we count them that way. You may not own 7 houses, but you own 7 doors that are cash flowing. And that's the way I kind of calculate. So when I talk about some of my goals for this year is so that we have 22 doors that we control by 12/22 of 22, you know, and so we got some work to do, like I said.
Are all these doors in the DFW area? Are they all just right there locally?
No, they're spread out. San Antonio,
one here in Dallas, one about an hour north of Dallas, east of Dallas, and then Kansas City and Atlanta.
And we'll close on one in Dominican Republic next month that we are part of the ownership of. So now we spread it out.
That's great.
So
I wanted to ask, what made you decide on real estate? Because you guys were doing something different. So, but what was it about real estate, or what drew you to it to make that your thing?
Okay. Well, for me, you know, I'm an OG from the early 90s, mid 90s. I remember watching those Carlton Sheets late night commercials. Buy houses, no money down. Yeah, I'm that guy. Ordered every one of the VHSs and books. I still got some of that stuff sitting around here. So I literally just came across some of those books. So I just always, so again, I talked about my mom's mom, Pearlie Mae, who left us, you know, our legacy from her home in San Francisco. But my dad's mother owned rental properties in upstate New York in the 60s. Like, these are Black women, single Black women, to be honest with you, at those times. And they thought that it was important to invest in real estate. Right. something about that, I thought it was really important. And I do remember having a conversation with my father's mom with, in her last couple of months of life, just talking about, son, you need to get you some real estate, and just that, and then the Carlton Sheet stuff. But my thing is, I was just always scared. Oh, I don't have the credit. I don't have the money. Had I known the things I know now, we would be Trumpers or something by then, as far as property ownership, right? Jesus Christ, why did I say that? Anyway, I think when we bought that first house in Atlanta, and it wasn't, much, we spent, what was the house? The numbers on that one.
The house was $50,000. We purchased it in 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
August of 2011, shortly after we got married. We stayed in it for 3 years. It was a foreclosure home. So we got it for $50,000. We lived in it for almost 3 years because we sold it in February of 2014. So, the return on the investment on that was pretty high.
It was like
300%.
Well, it was like we made like 30 grand or something, but for us, that was huge. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, okay. We paid off our debts. We were able to, to make a change. The job that I got in Austin was double my salary. So here we are moving to Texas with double the money and no debts.
Right.
So it was a great right field for us to say, hey, how do we leverage this opportunity? And, just again, I'm the guy that brings certain ideas, the crazy, risky ideas to the table. And, fortunately, about 35% of them have worked. So.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. 35%. If we're talking baseball, that's all-star caliber.
There you go. But that's how we got into the real estate. And again, I think for her, after seeing a couple of transactions we did, you get a closing disclosure where at the bottom you see, how much money you're going to get. And then there's some lines in there. And there's always a real estate commission in there. And those numbers are usually pretty hefty compared to some of the other numbers. And I think she saw someone that was like, hey, what if I got a real estate license? And that mean that money would come to me? Yeah, that's exactly what would happen. And she went and got a real estate license. So there you go.
That's great.
What would you say to so people are listening like, man, yeah, that sounds cool. Because I ain't gonna lie. Vic, you and I had a conversation. And he was like, have you thought about this? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing something kind of different. But in my mind, I'm still like, man, I would love to get in the game, but there's still some hesitation. Part of it is because we're in California, but people are still buying and selling homes. Right. And what would you tell a couple that's in their, let's say 40s, in their 50s, and they're like, I'd love to still do it, but can I? Is there a way to do it still? What would you tell them about the real estate game?
You want to start with that?
Always invest in real estate. It's the perfect time to buy real estate, no matter what the economy says, no matter what the media is saying. It's always the perfect time to jump into real estate. Now, California, you may want to look in other states outside of California, maybe Kansas City.
Ohio, Tennessee. There's a ton of markets that are much more affordable. Because look, I've been trying to talk to all my siblings in California about investing or moving from California, but if I literally started and I was like 37, 38 when we started investing. And, by the time we get into our 40s, 50s, many of us have built up a nice little savings. We may have some 401k money, IRA accounts. And what happens is we look at, that's safe, that's steady. Well, is it? When you look at the numbers, and your fees to pay the brokers who are managing these savings and IRAs for you, you're really only making maybe 3-4% at best return every year. Well, inflation since 2021 to 2022 is 9%. So you lost money with that. With real estate, even if the interest rates are fluctuating, it very rarely will outpace appreciation of the real estate you're buying. So, you know, some old statement always says, don't wait to buy real estate and wait, because it has proven itself time and time again, with the exception of the '08 little debacle. But even that was the most lucrative time for investors. They gobbled up stuff, and look how they're looking right now, post-pandemic. You know, those properties are worth, you know, 4 or 5 times the money. You know, and I listened to a guy talking about real estate recently. Of course, our parents and some of us that grew up, you know, in the '80s, well, yeah, your parent might have bought a house for $50,000, and that house is now worth $500,000. And when you were investing back in '80 and '82, '85, whatever, you were still getting a 4 or 5% interest rate on your savings. The bank not giving you 1% on your savings account right now.
Right.
So it really just comes down to true math. And the only other part of it would be, yes, it would be helpful to have somebody to kind of mentor you, shameless plug, for, you know, because I've been through those bumps and bruises. I like to help people get through those transactions. And, you know, I'm not one of those other companies that's going to charge you $50K for some books, and then you haven't done a deal a year later, but you got a $50,000 credit card debt. I would just say, for folks out there, if you got some money to invest, I'm not saying take it all, but take a portion of it that feels right for you and invest in a market that you've researched, that you're comfortable doing. But don't sit on the sidelines, because people that thought about buying in 2019 and now they're like, oh man, I got to do it now. You missed the wave, bro. You missed it. Now you got to wait on the next wave, which we don't know when that's happening.
Yeah. So when you say for someone is like, oh, okay, so I have some money, but I don't necessarily have a lot of money, what would be like, how much for investment purposes would you say is a good amount to have to where you could put down?
Well, again, depends on the market. It depends on your strategy. Are you wanting to buy rental properties, which is our strategy? Buy it and hold it, because you're getting cash flow every month from rent. You're getting the appreciation, tax, you know, discounts. There's a lot of principal pay down. It's a lot of benefits to the buy and hold method. Whereas flipping, you will make a nice profit, but there's also a huge tax difference. You know, you're going to give a lot of that back to the government, or the tax, you know, for the profits that you make. So all of that becomes into play. I would say, you know, 50,000 is a number that I would probably just start with. You know, if you have 25, you can still get involved with these real estate investment trusts, or, you know, you can partner with other people that got 25, and everybody just kind of piece it together till you got something that can make sense. You know, the other part that a lot of people don't know is that if you do have a IRA or a 401k, you can roll that into what's called a self-directed IRA, which will allow you to use that money to participate in any investment. Real estate, you got a nephew that's want to start a business, you want to invest in that, you roll it into the self-directed IRA. It goes into that business venture. The money that comes back to you from that goes back into that IRA, and it's compounding even more. So a lot of people are like, well, all I got is 20, 30 grand in cash, but they might have 75, 80 grand in a 401k plan. So you have more money to invest. You think you can't touch that until you're 65. Well, you're not. You're rolling it into another outlet or portions of it to invest in. So there are things like that you can do as well. But I would say 50 grand is probably a safe number to kind of dabble with, you know.
Okay, y'all, look.
He said dabble.
For those of y'all that are listening, I know somebody pulled over and was like, let me get these notes. Let me get these notes. Because look, hey, Vic was just dropping some gems.
Because I was like, I'd never heard of that before.
So I'm right. So you had mentioned, okay, shameless plug. It's not a shameless plug, bro. This is something this is why we want both of you here, because you add value. You start talking. We want to hear your love story, but you brought legacy. You brought game. You're helping people you're giving the keys to the kingdom as far as an opportunity to develop and grow and create generational wealth. So let's take a step back. You said that this is something that you do. You don't just give out videotapes and put them on your shelf. Do you coach? Do you mentor people in order to actually build that wealth?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, where I'm involved with the analysis, helping them find deals, helping them put together the team to do the rehab if that's what's needed. My wife is involved with the market analysis to make sure it's the right investment for the right time. And if it's not in her market, then she's got, her network of realtors and people that she can get information from. And we use that to just help people get through the transaction so that, because this is the very daunting thing that you're stepping into, especially if you've not done it. And so it's like walking in a room with blinders on and the lights are all off. You're like, what's next? But if you could just grab my arm, I'm gonna at least walk you. You still gonna stub your toe on the wall a little bit, but we're gonna get to the room. And so I think it's been helpful. I've done videotapes and stuff, but I realized that that's probably just supporting information to help you, when you're sitting at home and you just want to kind of recap some things. But, I do offer the opportunity for my, exclusive clients to have direct access to me. I've had people send me messenger messages at 2 a.m. I won't respond until morning, but at least they know that they got, a very unique question that they need to get answered, and they don't have to reach back out for $7,500 to coach, somewhere else to get an answer to something. So yes, that's, again, I remember the pain of some of those first couple of transactions, and, we were blessed and fortunate that they were profitable still, but sometimes it can go drastically wrong. So yeah.
Amen. So I love this. So this is something that people need to hear about. Look, what I see is it's very similar. What we do in marriage, you're doing in real estate. We've gone through some stuff. We've navigated some of the treacherous waters, and every journey is different for every person that gets on the waters. But yet, because we've been through some stuff, we try and help people find their way through it. You talk about, you might stub your toe. Well, you might take on a little bit of water in your boat, but we're going to get you through. We're going to make sure you don't sink, or at least attempt to. And you're doing the exact same thing when it comes to real estate, and showing people, giving them some vehicles by which they might be able to create their own legacy. Sure. I love that. We always used to say, each one teach one, and you're doing that. You're living that. So how would people get in touch with you in order to become, just at least start this process, have a conversation, be like, look, Vic, Latasha, how do I do this?
So a couple of ways. Our company is called 555, like the numeric numbers, 555 Equity, EQUITY LLC.com. So visit our website. I also have a separate website, VictorVJohnson.com. My wife is a realtor with eXp Realty, Latasha Johnson, here in the Dallas area. So you can reach out to us that way. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to drop our socials or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
And you definitely can reach out to us that way.
Now, so on your websites, for 555equityllc.com, do you have spots on there where people can hit you for, like, on IG and your Facebook?
Absolutely.
Same thing for Latasha.Johnson X.
EXP.
EXP.
Yeah, I was like, I was trying to say it. EXPRealty.com. Same thing. There's ways that they can actually contact you through that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna make sure we put that in our show notes, because look, y'all, there's a funny thing, people used to say all the time that knowledge is power, and that's a farce. Knowledge is knowledge. It's applied knowledge. That's power. The library is full of knowledge, but it don't mean a thing. If you go sit in there, you can go to the library every day and read a book your entire life. But if you don't take the things that are in those pages and then apply them to your life and make them practical, fail here, grow there, that's applied knowledge. That's what moves couples forward. That's what moves investors forward. That's what moves communities forward. So they provide some knowledge. Y'all need to just, get online. Look, after you go to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and
give us our
put 5 on it.
Put
then
5
visit
on it.
555 Equity LLC.
Exactly. Open up another tab and then go over and do your research. Reach out to Vic and Latasha and build your own legacy. Let somebody guide you. So I think this has been invaluable. I think
Yeah.
that this has been something great that,
Mhm.
and look, let me tell y'all, let me remind you guys how this happened. You just got kicked some knowledge because our wives were chopping it up and we were chopping it up at a barbecue. And it was like, have you ever thought about just, talking about how couples and how people can move forward and build wealth for their families? And we've done it. We've had a couple of conversations like that, but never to this extent. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for going out on a limb and just saying, hey, man, we brothers, but, it's time to bless your audience.
No, man, we got to thank you, man. Lovey, Snooks. We love you guys. We appreciate everything.
Yes.
I went back and watched a few of these interviews. You got some great people coming in. And I do want to make a comment, man. Let her study when she's doing her master's.
Oh, my
stuff,
God.
man.
You, right?
Oh,
Right.
man.
Don't be
This might not
vacuuming
make it to
around
the
her while
end.
she's studying, man.
I'm going to edit that part out. Oh,
Yes.
It's all
Thank
love.
you.
It's all-
Thank you.
no, it's that reel. I should have never put that reel out there. No, we thank you guys. You know what? Anything in parting?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm all about the story. I love the love origins and and when people, like Lovey said, we've been through some stuff, and being able to navigate those waters, you know what I'm saying? Black love is important, and people, unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity that's always surrounded about couples, well, Black women specifically, and how Black men and whatever. So it's like when we get together and when we're loving, and we need people to see that kind of thing. And it's not just one couple or sparsely here or there. No, we're everywhere. We're all over, and it's just beautiful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
guys.
having
We
us.
appreciate
Yeah,
that very, very
absolutely.
much. Yes.
Absolutely. So, hey, like we always say, until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.